Hey guys, Lucas Helton with 360 Yield Center. I wanted to take a minute today to look at 360 chain roll, specifically on a Case IH head, and just kind of compare some different tillage types. So around here we do some different types of fall tillage, whether that's no-till, vertical tillage. There's a lot of guys that do some disking, as well as some deep ripping. So I kind of wanted to look at the residue from 360 chain roll. We're about a month out from harvest right here at the beginning of December, and just kind of see what that residue looks like in a no-till situation and a vertical tillage situation, as well as something that's been deep ripped and been covered up for a little while now. So we'll start here with our no-till example. You can see we're in about 6 or 7 inch pieces with this chain roll. We've pierced that stalk every 1.25 inches and got that broken up. Allow moisture and air and microbials to get in and start that breakdown process. So this is just residue that hasn't had anything done to it, right? So it's just straight no-till. Could go in and plant this to beans next spring, or just work it down and plant it the conventional way. So we'll break one of these apart and just kind of see what it looks like on the inside. So we can see that pith, it's kind of starting to break down. So it's starting to get, especially where it's been opened up, starting to turn black there on the inside. And we know by being able to open up that rind, we're able to allow those microbials, that air, that water into that stalk, and really start that breakdown process. So as we move into our vertical tillage example, you'll notice we've got a little bit more loose soil worked in. We don't have this residue buried, but we've eliminated that mat of residue that we sometimes see in no-till. We've kind of fluffed that soil up to help that dry out in the springtime. So we've got a little bit more loose dirt mixed in. You can see here, we've punctured that every 1.25 inches. We've opened that stalk up. We've split that stalk, allowed that pith to get broken down. And being incorporated a little bit more, we start to see a little bit more of an aggressive breakdown versus a no-till scenario, but not a lot different from a standpoint of vertical tillage versus the no-till situation. So we start to see a little bit more aggressive residue breakdown. This would be a 360 chain roll example that's been buried with a disc ripper. So I didn't dig a foot deep and dig this out. I just kind of got what I could get with my hands. But this would be a good example of a stalk that we find just kind of at the top of the surface, something we're going to have to deal with next spring when we run the field cultivator or go in there with a turbo chopper or whatever it is and try to process this residue. So this stalk here has been buried a little bit longer, has had a lot more moisture incorporated into it. You can see it's been punctured by chain roll, opened up, but it's been able to be more engaged with the soil and really had a chance to break down even further and speed up that process a little bit further. So there's definitely a progression as we move from no-till to disc ripping as far as residue breakdown goes. But with chain roll, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to get that stalk opened up. We're trying to allow that pith to get broken down as quickly as possible, regardless of our tillage situation. Obviously, we know different tillage practices work in different areas, but we want to make sure we're doing as much as we can with that corn head to process that residue. Just kind of wanted to give you an example of what to look for as you're out evaluating the performance of your combine. You're out looking at some different tillage practices to see what works best for you, and kind of show you some of the options that we have to offer.